Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
I'm ready.
Great. Today we're going to be exploring something truly special.
Oh,
We're heading to the islands of Cabo Verde to explore this musical genre you might not know yet, called Morna.
Morna. I think our listeners who are into world music are really going to enjoy this one.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I've been doing a little research and I got to say I'm already intrigued. So for those who are hearing about Morna for the first time, how would you describe it?
So imagine a genre that has the soulful depth of Portuguese fado,
Okay.
but also that melancholic beauty of Brazilian samba canção.
Ooh, interesting.
You combine those, and then you add this unique Cabo Verdean twist. That's Morna.
Wow. I am so ready to dive into this. So we're talking about music that's rich in emotion. What kind of stories does Morna tell? Like, what are the themes?
Morna is all about those deep universal feelings,
Yeah.
love, longing, separation. And this word you're going to hear a lot when we're talking about Morna saudade.
Saudade. I've heard that word before, but I don't think I fully grasp it.
It's a Portuguese word, and it's really hard to translate, but it captures a really specific feeling. It's that feeling of longing, like a yearning for something or someone that's absent.
Saudade. It's like a bittersweet ache in the heart, almost.
Yeah, exactly. And to think that that feeling is just woven into the very fabric of Morna, that's pretty powerful.
It is powerful. And you know what else is powerful? The fact that Morna is so deeply rooted in Cabo Verdean culture that it actually received recognition from UNESCO.
That's right. It was actually recognized as Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity.
Wow.
That's a big deal.
That puts it up there with some of the most important cultural traditions worldwide.
Yeah, for sure.
But this begs the question, where did this captivating genre come from?
Right. What are the origins of Morna? Well, that's where it gets really interesting. Because, the origins of Morna are a bit of a mystery. Yeah. A lot of experts actually debate its roots. There are a lot of different theories. Some think that it's connected to work songs.
Oh, interesting.
Others think that maybe it's got influences from North African music.
Really?
Some say Portuguese fado,
Okay.
even Brazilian modinha.
Hold on. So we're talking possible connections to multiple continents here.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
It makes you wonder about the journeys this music might have taken.
Exactly. It's like a musical puzzle, just waiting to be solved. And even the word morna itself is part of this mystery. Some believe it's related to the Portuguese word for warm, but, that doesn't really capture the emotional depth of the music, does it?
It doesn't.
Others think maybe it has a connection to English or French words for sadness.
Oh, okay.
Even a connection to the word for hill or mountain, inspired by, the Cabo Verde landscape.
It's like a musical detective story. All these clues scattered throughout history, and we're trying to piece together the puzzle of Morna's origins. But what we do know is that it has this incredible ability to evoke such profound emotions. Was it always like that? Did it always have that melancholic feel?
That's a good question. You see, early Morna, it was actually pretty different from what we know today.
Oh, really?
It's believed that it had a much faster tempo, and the lyrics, instead of being about love and loss, they were more satirical, focusing on everyday life, kind of making fun of things.
Okay, so when did this shift towards those deeper emotions and the slower tempos? When did that happen?
Well, it seems like the island of Brava, which was known for a lot of immigration to the Americas, might have played a big role in this change.
I see.
Brava had a poet and composer named Eugénio Tavares, who left a really significant mark on Morna.
Eugénio Tavares. His name is practically synonymous with Morna, isn't it? I feel like I've heard his name come up a lot in relation to this genre.
You're right. He is basically considered a giant of the genre. Wow.
And what he did was he infused Morna with this amazing poetic depth. He would write about love, separation, the idealization of women, and of course, saudade.
Yeah.
And his words really resonated with the people of Brava, many of whom, were experiencing the heartache of leaving loved ones behind because so many people from Brava emigrated to find a better life.
So Tavares's poetry and music really captured the essence of that Brava experience, right? That sense of longing and nostalgia that came with leaving home.
Precisely. And it's really amazing to see how one artist can have such a profound impact on a whole genre's evolution.
It really is.
And he wasn't the only one who shaped Morna. There's another key figure we need to talk about, B.Léza.
Oh, B.Léza.
Now, B.Léza was more focused on the music itself rather than the lyrics.
Okay, I'm curious. What did he bring to the table?
So B.Léza, he revolutionized Morna's harmonic structure back in the 1920s.
Wow.
He was really fascinated by Brazilian guitar techniques.
And he learned these techniques from sailors who would pass through the island of São Vicente.
Okay.
And he took those Brazilian techniques, incorporated them into Morna, creating new chord progressions and adding this dramatic flair to the music.
So B.Léza basically added this whole new dimension to Morna's sound. It's fascinating how these key figures shaped this music that we're exploring, but it makes you wonder, how has Morna's role in society changed over time?
That's a great question, and it's not a simple answer because there are some interesting dynamics at play.
Oh, like what?
Well, during the colonial period, there was this tendency to elevate Morna above other Cabo Verdean genres.
Okay.
Yeah, and some experts think this was maybe a way for the colonial authorities to project a specific image of Cabo Verdean culture.
Oh, so they were kind of using Morna for political purposes.
It's possible, yeah. Music often gets intertwined with those kinds of power dynamics.
That's true.
But at the same time, Morna also played a crucial role in the struggle for independence. Many composers actually embedded messages of liberation and resistance in their music.
Wow. So Morna was being used by both sides of the political spectrum.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It really is. That this music, so full of emotion, could also be a vehicle for such powerful messages. It really speaks to its depth and its versatility.
It really does. And that's what makes exploring Morna so captivating. It's not just these beautiful melodies. It's a reflection of Cabo Verde's history, its complex history, its social realities, and, the resilience of its people.
I'm already feeling so much more connected to this music, just hearing you talk about it.
That's great.
And I bet our listeners are too. But before we get too carried away, maybe it's time to introduce some of the artists who have brought these melodies to life. Where do we even begin? There must be so many talented Morna musicians.
Oh, there are so many.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's hard to narrow it down.
It is.
But we can definitely highlight some of the, key figures.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah. The ones who've really shaped the genre's sound and soul.
So if I wanted to create a must-listen playlist of Morna composers, where should I start? What are some names that I should definitely know?
Okay, well, you've already got Eugénio Tavares and B.Léza on that list. Those are two pioneers.
Of course.
Who really shaped the genre. But going back even further, to the early 20th century, you've got names like José Bernardo Alfama.
Okay.
José Medina, Eduino Nunes, Wilson Nunes.
Got it.
Rodrigo Pérez, Jean-José Nunes. There are so many talented composers from that era.
Those names are going on the playlist. What about some composers from, the later part of the 20th century?
Oh, yeah. Then you've got to check out Manuel de Novas.
Yeah, okay.
He's incredibly prolific, wrote a ton of Morna music.
Wow.
And then there's Leila de Menina, Olavo Bilac, Jotamonte, Ano Nobo.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we can't forget Abilio Duarte, who we talked about earlier.
Right, who used Morna to convey those messages of resistance during the independence movement.
Exactly. Such a powerful use of music. And then there's Jorginho, another amazing composer from that era.
Okay, that's a lot of names to add to the playlist. This is going to be an amazing musical journey.
Yeah.
But what about the voices behind the music? Who are some of the iconic singers who've really brought these compositions to life?
Oh, where do I even begin? There are so many incredibly talented Morna singers.
I bet.
But if you're looking for iconic voices, Bana is a must listen.
Bana.
He's got a massive discography. He's considered one of the most influential Morna singers of all time.
Wow.
And then you have Fernando Quejas. He really helped to popularize Morna in Portugal.
Okay, those are some big names. And I have to ask, what about Ildo Lobo? His voice is just mesmerizing. I actually saw him perform live once, and it was unforgettable. So much emotion just poured into every note.
Oh, yeah. Ildo Lobo is a legend.
Yeah.
He was the vocalist for Os Tubarões.
Oh, wow.
They achieved incredible success.
Yeah.
And then he had a wonderful solo career as well. He really mastered, I think, conveying the essence of Morna.
I can definitely attest to that. Now, it would be a crime to talk about iconic Morna voices without mentioning Cesária Évora.
Oh, you can't talk about Morna without the barefoot diva herself.
Yeah.
Her voice, it had this unique blend of rawness and power, and it touched people all over the world.
It did. It really did.
She really brought Morna to a global audience, in a way that few others have.
She really did. Her music just transcended language barriers.
It did.
And it wasn't just her. There are so many talented female Morna singers. What about Herminia? Her voice is so distinctive, almost guttural. She's truly one of a kind.
Herminia is in a league of her own, for sure. And there are so many other incredible female Morna singers who deserve recognition.
Yes.
There's Titina, Gardenia Ben-Rose, Anna Firmino, Maria Alice.
Wow.
Selena Pereira, Nancy Vieira, Lura, Solange Cesarovna.
The talent just seems endless. And the fact that, like, new generations are still carrying the torch. You know what I mean? With singers like Cremilda Medina and Lucibella making their mark.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows how enduring and vital this music is.
It really is. It's not just a genre. It's a living, breathing tradition.
It is.
That connects people across generations, across continents.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so special, don't you think?
Absolutely. We've only scratched the surface of Morna. But I already feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for this music and its significance. It's so much more than just notes and melodies.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reflection of a culture, a history, a people. And something tells me our listeners are feeling that connection too.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It truly is a musical world that deserves to be explored and cherished.
Couldn't agree more. Now, after all this talk about history, emotions, iconic figures, I have to ask, what does it all mean? What is it about Morna that makes it so special, that makes it resonate so deeply with people?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think part of Morna's magic lies in its ability to tap into something universal. You know, that shared human experience of longing, of loss, the search for connection. I think Morna speaks to those feelings in a way that transcends language and cultural barriers.
It's like it gives us permission to connect with those raw, vulnerable emotions that we all experience as humans.
Right.
And maybe that's why it resonates so deeply with people from all walks of life, no matter who you are or where you're from.
I think you're exactly right. It invites us to embrace that vulnerability, to acknowledge the bittersweet nature of life, and to find some solace in those shared emotions. It's a reminder that even when we're facing sadness or hardship, there's still beauty and resilience there, and I think that's a message we can all appreciate.
Beautifully said. This deep dive into Morna has been such a rewarding journey. It's incredible how music can connect us to different cultures and histories and emotions, and even to parts of ourselves we didn't know were there.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling our listeners are ready to continue exploring this world of Morna, wouldn't you say?
I think so too. Once you experience the magic of Morna, it's hard not to want more.
It's true. And speaking of wanting more, you know, we've talked about the history, the key figures, the soul of Morna. But before we wrap up this deep dive, there's one final thought I'd like to explore with you.
Okay.
Knowing that Morna has evolved over time and served all these different purposes, do you think a musical genre can truly belong to one place or one culture? Or is it always in a state of becoming, you know, influenced by different places and experiences? What do you think?
That's a great question, and it's one that I think really gets at the heart of what makes music so fascinating. It's fluid, it travels, it transforms.
It does.
And, you know, while Morna is deeply rooted in the culture and history of Cabo Verde, we've seen how it's been shaped by all these influences from Portugal, from Brazil, and even potentially, like we talked about, North Africa.
It's like this incredible musical tapestry woven with threads from all over the world. It's mind-blowing to think about how these different cultures have intertwined to create something so unique.
Yeah, it really is. And as Morna continues to evolve, who knows what other influences it will embrace. It's sure to resonate with people from, you know, even more diverse backgrounds, and in doing so, become something new while still honoring its roots.
So what you're saying is, like, a genre might originate in a specific place, but it doesn't have to stay confined to that place. It can be shared, it can be adapted, it can be reinterpreted, and in that process, it becomes something entirely new.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of it. It's like a conversation that spans continents and generations.
Wow, that's such a powerful thought to leave us with.
Yeah.
I think this deep dive into Morna has been a perfect example of how music can connect us to different cultures and histories and emotions, even those that we, you know, might not have even known existed before.
Couldn't agree more. It's been a real pleasure exploring the world of Morna with you. And hopefully our listeners feel inspired to continue their own journey of discovery.
To all our listeners out there, we encourage you to dive deeper into the music of the artists we mentioned. Explore the different styles of Morna, and just let yourselves be swept away by the emotion and the beauty of this incredible genre. Who knows? Maybe you'll even be inspired to visit Cabo Verde someday and experience the magic of Morna firsthand.
That would be amazing. Until then, keep your ears open and your hearts ready for new musical discoveries. You never know what treasures you might find.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Morna. We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration of the world through sound.